Okay, see you.
Do it again.
Okay, see you.
I can't help it. It sounds just like him.
This is Actual Proper Podcast. I'm Reece Farkash. Who are
Right.
you? Who are you?
I'm just like, I forgot.
You forgot who you are.
Yes, I forgot who I am. No,
Wait,
I forgot.
can I be Twila Amato today?
I can be
You could
Reece
be
Allen.
Reece
Totally.
Farkash.
On 99.7 today.
SMH. Sometimes she tries to impersonate me when she's on air.
Okay, no. Okay, it's not that I try to impersonate you because I hear you all the time on the radio. So I often just kind of like when I'm on shift, like on air, I'm always tempted to say, and I'm Reece Allen on so
just because you're
station,
used to hearing
because
it all
I'm
the time.
so used to just hearing you say it all the time. And so that nearly happened one time. True story. This nearly happened one time when I was doing what are you doing?
No, just keep on going.
Oh,
Sorry.
No. When I was on air and I nearly said I nearly introduced myself as Reece Allen and I was like I had to stop because I had already said I'm Twila Amato.
Live on air too.
Weird. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird like body snatchers moment. It felt like. So I can't say I can ever be Reece Allen though. I don't sound like you.
I think I could do a good Twila.
Go
I
ahead.
like lipstick and makeup. I like
That's not what I talk about on
rice
air.
and quinoa.
Anyways, okay, so we've been gone away for
for a long
quite
time. A
some
lot has
time.
happened, including some very huge personal goals.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like some violent sicknesses.
Also, that violent sicknesses, personal goals. It's been a roller coaster of a month
It's
or
been
so.
a bit of a roller coaster.
But,
But yeah.
to start it off with what happened chronologically, probably around the first, is that you went in the ocean for the first time and you're learning how to swim.
Well, okay, not the first
It makes
time.
me so proud.
Okay, not the first time necessarily, but like the first time that I wasn't having a panic attack when I did it, for sure. Because a lot of people who know me know that I don't swim and can't swim, even though I grew up around, obviously pools and oceans and have had lessons and things like that. It's just something that's never really stuck with me. I am very, very scared of the ocean and just like deep bodies of water in general. Been in quite a bit of accidents, I guess, like involving water, and like it's just not been very pleasant. And so it's just like not a pleasant experience for me. So but I mean this summer definitely kind of changed that. Like now I guess I can sort of swim, doggy paddle. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, you're just in the water, not really, like freaking out, not afraid and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone out there, if you're scared of something, you can conquer those fears.
Yeah.
Proof here.
Proof right
Twila
here.
can almost swim now. She
No,
does
but-
good. But the ocean is something that a lot of people are generally wary of and afraid of just because it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Like, it's the second most dangerous body of water to, like, rivers, of course, are number one.
Right.
Because a lot of people are unaware of the dangers associated there. And
Because
there's
it's so small,
accidents that
right?
happen all the time
Yeah.
in rivers. Like, around here, all the time, and around everywhere else. But I guess people are, they get kind of like safety ignorant. Like, if they have just gone wild without being like at the top of their mind, like, oh, someone has unfortunately died here recently, or stuff like that, then it's kind of just like, oh yeah, let's get the kids, then just go to a random spot in the river, which should never do that. Like, go to places that you're familiar with and that of course pose no danger, because a lot of the danger in rivers is things that it would seem fine to you, but of course humans, water isn't our natural habitat, so we kind of don't see a lot of the dangers that are present. Like, just running water that is knee height, like up to your kneecaps, is extremely dangerous for any kind of like human, child, even like fully
Human
grown
child.
adult. Like, it's so dangerous, and you gotta deal with a lot of things, especially currents that pull you down. Like if you're in a
Right,
fast moving
right.
current as well, um, it flows over you, and
Yeah.
there could be like a rock in the water, and when the current moves over that rock and continues going downstream, where the rock right behind the rock, like there is a little more of stagnant water, so that water is swirling around there while the current itself is moving over it. So if you get pulled under there where that water is, it's so hard to be able to break out of that current that's above you, because you have to go through like a current that's moving. It's not just normal water while you have this pulling down as well. So it's there's a lot of really dangerous parts of rivers, and
You see, that makes sense to me because I've had an experience like that.
totally, and it's just it takes a lot to kind of learn about water and how to be safe in it,
For
as
sure.
well as getting over those fears. So like a huge part of being the ocean, it brings its own fears. Like you have massive currents where, as you learned, you would be just walking, all of a sudden you hit very cold water, and it only has a stretch of like 5 feet, then it's warm water, then it's freezing cold water. Like there's so much variance in the way water moves in oceans that if you've been swimming all your life in pools or lakes, it is a totally different game out there in the ocean, as well as there's just crazy critters around there. Like at the beach we frequent here, there's crabs.
Yeah, and
like,
gooey ducks everywhere. It's kind of gross, man.
And of course, even when you stay in the shallows, like I don't want to necessarily put my foot down while I'm swimming. Like it's mostly sand, but there's the occasional like large crab.
Yeah,
like I don't
for
want to put
sure.
my
and
foot
like
on that.
flounders
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
there's a ton of flounders just everywhere.
I
Those
will
are
say,
actually really
though,
cool, though.
I will say one of the reasons why I was really kind of inspired to swim this season was previously I don't know if this was in the deleted we had a mishap with one episode where we don't know where the audio is now.
It just kind of disappeared into cyberspace.
But I don't know if I talked about it then or in another episode where I had recommended a book that I was currently reading, or at that time current, which was it's called Colorless Tukuru Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage. It's basically by a Japanese author and, set in Tokyo. It was a really well-written book, and in the book, Tukuru, the protagonist, he swims a lot to kind of like de-stress and obviously keep fit and things like that. But a lot of, I guess, his, he goes on autopilot when he swims, but it's also like a way for him to think and clear his mind. And this is how he forms one of his best like friendships in his lifetime, and also obviously one of his kind of like, so swimming just like does a lot for him. And because there's a lot of, I guess, just like vivid descriptions of swimming, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to experience that too, not just in my mind, but obviously physically. I want to be able to say, okay, yeah, that's how it is to swim, without, again, going into a body of water and being like freaked out about it, like I previously was. And so that's kind of the reason why I was just like, you know what, I really gotta push myself to maybe try the swimming thing and like not die. So yeah,
and
I mean, it worked sort of.
Also a little bit out of just survival because it was just so hot.
Yeah, that too. It's been a very hot summer.
Yeah, so like there's no other option besides like
actually swimming and going in the water.
And going in the water. Even just your feet in the water is so refreshing. But
for sure, yeah.
It's actually kind of crazy about like we have a gorgeous beach where we live here. And
well, just the coastline in general has just been amazing.
Most of the coastline, it's all rock, so it's unswimmable for like 99% of it. 99.5. But there's
the beach
this
is
really
nice.
Gorgeous beach that is a huge like vacation spot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy because there's no lifeguards for this stretch of the beach at all. So it's like you also never want to go swimming there when there's not a ton of people, especially in the ocean. I never go swimming in the ocean when there's not a ton of people, because that's when a lot of the marine life starts to come, closer into shore, and you see them everywhere. But when there's a lot of people out there in the water, humans make a lot of noise, and that deters, animals from coming near you. So
For
it's
sure.
more of a safety net, as well as if something happens, there's a lot of people. But it's so weird that there's no lifeguards at all. And there's just so many people there all the time. It's bizarre.
That could be a news story.
It might. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving you a tip right now.
I think you're giving the news reporter a tip. Who knows? If I don't forget.
But yeah, so that was the whole swimming thing. A few rants there, but on to the sickness portion of it. So
violent sicknesses.
Yeah, the violent sicknesses where I don't even know where these things come from,
Well, what did happen to you, Reece?
So what happened to me is I got like really sick all of a sudden, like
very quickly too.
Yeah, I think it was like over the course of like a couple hours in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then it lasted for like 4 or 5 days afterwards where like I couldn't eat anything at all in those 4 or 5 days. And, like, of course, like violently vomiting like all the time.
Yeah, it was kind of scary, not gonna lie.
It was absolutely crazy. Like throughout the night too. Like it was absolutely insane. And then you had something to a little bit of the same degree, but not quite.
Yeah.
But these sicknesses,
Spoiler alert,
they're
I had
so
my
weird.
period.
Yeah, but we also like we eat the same things.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But like I got sick and then you didn't because like I don't know where like these sicknesses come from.
I was definitely in a much better shape than you were. Like I was sick for a different reason, you know? Like again, it happens usually. So when I obviously like got sick around the same time, like I wasn't surprised by it because again, I get sick at the same time every month. So it's a thing. But yours was different. It was really scary. You were you were puking all the time. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it was crazy. So it's just picture like 2 people that are just debilitated in bed and just like not talking, not moving for like days. And that was the fun that was had. Yeah,
no,
not
fun
happy at all.
Yeah, no. But then
a little bit of the sickness. So
but what got you out of that? What healed you out of that?
So I like to attribute 99%. I'm using those 90%s really often this episode, I'm noticing. But like most of the time when I'm sick, it's just all to a very magical substance called red Gatorade, which I don't know what the certain batch of Gatorade, why it has mystical healing properties, but it does.
But it's like specifically red.
Exactly, red. No other color. It's got to be red every time when you're sick.
The first day you got sick, I remember I went to Shoppers to get him Gatorade, but they only carried blue and green
bizarre
at that Shoppers, and I had texted you, but then you weren't answering, and so I just like grabbed the blue just on instinct because I'm like, okay, well, he generally likes blue, like it can't do harm, and so but then I checked my phone much later and you had been like, red, please, red, and I was just like, well, there was no red anyway.
Yeah, but eventually got the red Gatorade.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after that started to feel a bit better. But red Gatorade, man.
It's magical.
Let us know if it's, like, helps you when you're sick. Because I would love to know if it's, like, an everybody thing instead of just, like, a me thing.
I feel like for me, it's definitely the yellow one for sure.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Yellow is just good on its own, though.
Yeah.
It's
very close to the Lemmy's, like, lemonade that I love so much. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that was... Anyway... on to recommendations now.
Sure.
So I actually have a couple because it's been so long, and I've just been into so many different things.
I have
like
a ton.
Every week, it's like a new thing.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
been like,
well, wait, are you gonna start with your recommendations, or can I start with my recommendations?
I really want to start with mine because I know we have some of the same. Like
oh
one
no!
Of the same ones.
Does this relate to OKC?
Yeah, it does. So how we started the pod today, I mean, if you know what I'm talking about by that line, you know what it is. It's Kim's Convenience. I just absolutely adore that show. It's incredible. It is so funny.
I got you hooked on that show.
Yeah, after like one episode, I was like, this is a great show. And it's
love that
CBC
show.
made, so it's Canadian made, which is awesome. Canadian actors.
I absolutely love that show. And I think it has to do with just the whole, one, because as a not necessarily an avid kind of like K-drama fan, but like I watch them fairly often, and sometimes with my mom, and sometimes with friends and things like that. But like to watch I guess a sitcom or like just a show with, I guess, like Korean actors and or like characters without having to watch with subtitles is pretty darn great. So that's one of the reasons why I love it. But like besides that, like overall, I know it's obviously centered around like a Korean Canadian family, but like it's definitely like, and I've talked about this before with you and like other friends, like it definitely just encompasses, I guess, just like that general like immigrant experience, you know, especially like an Asian family like immigrant experience where you have these like crazy kind of like, not crazy, but like they're very conservative and like traditional and religious family, and that's the kind of family that I come from. And then you see these two kids like, you know, who are trying to kind of not necessarily break out of that, but like they're trying
find
to
their place, like
find
grow
their place,
grow
but,
up
like,
in that
thrive
place. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
in
That's
both
the word.
like worlds, right? Because it's sort of like it's like the kids are an amalgamation of like the new and the old, right? And so it's really fun to see that, hey, oh my gosh, like these kids are having the exact same experience that my brothers and I are, you know, and it's kind of like, it's kind of cool to see. So I can definitely relate to a lot of the show and a lot of like, I guess the parents meddling with their kids, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's my parents to a T. Maybe not with the Korean accents, but like 10,000% my parents right there.
It's such a great show. It's honestly hilarious.
It's a great show, yeah.
It's also, you can watch it for free, which is awesome.
Yeah, on
well, it's on
online, yeah.
Netflix, but like because it's like made by the CBC. If you don't know this, which I didn't know initially, was they have their own streaming service online called Gem. And if you Google like CBC Gem, you'd find it, and they have a ton of shows on there. But Kim's Convenience is easily the best one.
Oh,
and,
for sure.
If you are Canadian, if you just sign in from a Canadian IP, you can watch it all for free. It's so cool. It's so awesome. You don't get Netflix for free just by being Canadian. So yeah, if you're Canadian, you have no excuse not to watch it. I mean, unless you're busy or you just don't like it or whatever. No, it's really funny and it's great.
Fun. I
really
love that show.
It's a really well made show.
Yeah,
and the writing is on point all the time.
The girl Andrea Bang, she plays Janet. She's from BC. She's from Burnaby.
Cool.
So yeah,
that's
kind of
really cool.
Yeah,
you see a lot of stars just coming from like Ontario, like Toronto mostly.
Yeah, but then now you see people come. Well, Kimchi, the guy who plays Kimchi, I'm pretty sure he's from Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary.
I think he's from Calgary. But anyways, yeah,
I knew that.
It's an awesome show. Ooh, recently too though, Kim's Convenience actually won like best foreign like drama or something at a Korean like awards ceremony, which I was just like, wow, that's kind of cool. And it's really cool to see them and just receive the award. So it's
also
neat.
really cool to see that it resonates with like mainland Koreans,
like
South Korean. Like it's so cool that like they're not really. They don't really, because like the show focuses on what it's kind of like to be in Canada, but they of course wouldn't know that. But it's cool that they still resonate enough with it and like think it's great. So that's awesome.
I think a part of it too is kind of it's cool to see people who look like you who are thriving in a Western made production, right? And is consumed in a Western country predominantly, and then that's kind of cool, and that I think is one of the reasons too,
and written well too,
and very well written, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons why Kim's Convenience has again just like received all these accolades, but also why it's doing so well is because we're riding that wave of like a lot of, I guess, Asian leads and Asian productions or Asian led productions, and kind of enjoying the limelight finally, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I don't know, but honestly, overall, I just think that because Kim's Convenience doesn't just focus on the Asian quote unquote like immigrant experiences. Like they have a lot of characters. Like
it's really relatable. Even if there's a lot of like those experiences for Asian immigrants, but a lot of them you can relate to even if you grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
So
as a person,
a lot of them is just like human experiences.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's just really great.
I love it so much. I hold it very near and
Yeah,
dear.
me too. It's great.
Such a good show. Highly recommended for sure. What are your other recommendations?
So my other recommendation is a book that I haven't actually read in like probably about a month or two. Well, actually, I read a few of them, but I'm just on the last one
What's
right
going
now
on here?
because I forgot that it's an omnibus, so it's all the books in one.
Okay.
So I'm like 80% of the way through.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I've read a few of the books. It's called Star Runners, which I've never heard of before, and I
I
just
don't know.
happen upon it somehow on like the Amazon store.
Okay.
I don't know how I found it, and I've never heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really good. It follows a young lead named Austin Stone, and the name is ridiculous, but if you get past that, and like if you get past, I swear, like the first like 6 chapters, it's just incredible. Like it goes on such like a steep steer away than what you'd imagine, and then like each book so good, and I just have been loving the stories the whole way because I don't know, it's just, in my opinion, it's something that's like defined as not non-traditional sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
where it's very reminiscent of like the early days of sci-fi when they were first breaking the genre and like learning the tropes that would carry over until today. Like they're so cultivated today that, of course, like everything new that sci-fi looks identical to each other.
Right.
But
So this was in the early days.
I don't know if it was created in the early days. I think it was. I honestly don't know, but I don't know a whole lot about the background of it. But it just feels different to traditional science fiction,
Okay.
and it's a very interesting read, and you'll be hooked on the characters once you get a little bit invested into it.
Mm-hmm. I must admit, I've like definitely fallen off of like the reading train lately, just because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately. Yikes. So I haven't.
The internet's destroyed the book industry.
Yes, exactly. No, so I'm trying to like slog through this book that I've been trying to read for a very long time, but I'm just like, not that it's not interesting. That's the thing. It's such an interesting book, but because YouTube just like grabs my attention more, so I'm just like, oh, there's a new makeup video. They're reviewing a new launch of foundations. And by the way, there's been like so many like makeup launches lately, so that's been keeping me busy like on the internet. I feel like that's literally where I've been. Like when I'm not working, I'm just like on like Sephora looking at all the new launches. But anyway, that was a weird aside. My recommendation actually is like super I guess, okay, this is definitely going to show how basic I am, but it's fall now, and fall themed drinks are like coming back. But Starbucks came out with a new drink called the pumpkin cream cold brew, and it's been the perfect kind of like fall themed drink while still keeping you cool and refreshed, because it's been a really weird hot like start to
of course,
like September.
It's still September, so it's not necessarily cold outside all the time.
It's not necessarily cold all the time. It has been rainy lately, but like it's still warm outside, and so this is the perfect kind of like balance of fall and still like keeping you cool, and I love it so much. I can't even. I like, if I can have it every day without breaking the bank, like I think I would. But because I'm poor, I try not to have it too much, but it's so good. I highly recommend it. Any other basic person out there, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but yeah, highly recommend it. Please go get it. Anyway, those were my like recommendations. Kim's Convenience, new makeup launches, and pumpkin cold brew.
Now makeup launch was your recommendation?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. I mean,
you
no
have
judgments, but I was like, what? I heard the aside, but anyway. That's I guess this week / month / undefined time periods episode.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it was a bit of a catch-up moment. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm also sorry that I might have lost the last.
You know what?
episode.
If we find that episode, it will be a fun kind of like bonus.
Yeah,
like,
we'll
track.
also put it up.
Yeah,
you know,
but otherwise,
we'll be clear, like, because it might not make sense because I don't remember what we talked about, and maybe it was a very summary pod, which I imagine it was a
probably.
pretty summary thick sode.
Yeah.
What's
going on right now?
I guess we'll have to define that if we find it and post it.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, that's been this month's Undefined Timeline episode. Catch you guys later. Peace.